Hey everyone, and welcome to another video in Viper Week. Today we are playing a game called, as you can see at the top here, Viper Racing. And if you couldn't tell from the very old looking UI, this game is dated. This game is very dated. In fact, it comes from 1998. That makes the game older than me. I think it's the oldest game that I have in my possession one way or another. In fact, this game is so old, it has a proper box. Not like a DVD case like Forza Horizon 4 or Forza Horizon 1 or old Need for Speed games like Hot Pursuit, the later Hot Pursuit titles. No, this has like a Photoshop style software box. It's that big. If you're ever gotten the Micro Center or some other computer store, you're like, I need to get a video editing program or a photo editing program like Photoshop or the like. And if you've ever seen those boxes, yeah, Viper Racing comes in a very similar box, which is funny because it does actually have a proper DVD case inside. So it kind of makes you wonder why they didn't go for a more modern route of having a normal DVD case, but hey, I guess that's how they did things in the late 90s. Let's talk about the cover art. The cover art is brilliant. I love it. You have Viper Racing in big text in the same font as you see here for Viper and Racing. And then you have the Sneaky Pete logo for the Gen 1 and 2 Viper. And then you have the Gen 2 Viper GTSR in white with dual blue racing stripes. If any of you know old Viper Racing history, well, I say old Viper Racing history, early Viper Racing history, you'll know what car I'm talking about. If we move along to the back, you have a bunch of text and a few screenshots of the gameplay, but we're going to talk about the text so that you can get an idea of what this game is all about. Your dream machine awaits you. Learn to eke out every last bit of power from the roaring engine of this meticulously recreated vehicle. Your rivals are clever, computer-controlled drivers who are bound by the same rules of physics as your car and given the same tools to succeed. The pressure increases in career mode, where you race against the best in the league, pushing the limits of your car to win cash prizes and upgrade your Viper through many levels of difficult tracks and opponents. Choose your path to victory by customizing every vital piece of your car to fit your driving style. Marvel at the gorgeously detailed cars and tracks, but keep your eye on the road, or you'll find yourself wrapped around a signpost or plunging off a cliff. Real driving, realistic consequences, this is as real as it gets. This is Viper Racing. The game was published by Sierra Sports and was made by MGI, also known as Monster Games Incorporated. So we move back to the front and we flip the cover art over. It's actually a little flap here, and you can see inside there's even more to talk about with this game. So you have sink your teeth into this in big red text. Sink your teeth into this. How 90s is that, right? How 90s does that sound? It's time to stop playing games and start getting real. Viper Racing is the first accurately modeled sports car simulation, featuring an advanced physics engine, enormously detailed car adjustment options, and realistic damage. But don't let that scare you. Viper Racing is ultimately accessible to players of all skill levels, featuring slick, jaw-dropping graphics and visual effects. Moving a little further down, start with a stock Dodge Viper GTS and work your way through 4 different racing classes, upgrading car parts along the way until you're behind the wheel of the ultimate driving machine, obviously beating BMW to their own punchline. The awesome 700 horsepower Dodge Viper GTSR. Viper Racing combines the realism of a complex racing simulation with the excitement of tire-burning sports car action. Enough reading the box though, you want to see some gameplay, so let's play the game, right? So down here, as you can see, you have your profile name. Obviously, I had to butcher my name. Cody Syndrome, like the Incredible 1 villain, because I couldn't type Conundrum, not enough, couldn't have enough characters for that. So if we go into options here, there's something I need to show you. So here you have your graphics, which we have it almost all the way up, except for there. You have smoke, shadow, skids, mirror, and thankfully I have a computer that can run this game beautifully. Not that it would be hard to run a game from 1998, but yeah. So we have auto clutch and a few other things. Today I'm playing the game on my Logitech G920, which is basically the Xbox version of the G29. And if you're wondering if I have the H pattern shifter with me, I do, but unfortunately this game doesn't register 5th or 6th, so suffice to say I have to use the paddle shifters if I want a manual experience. Very sad pandas, but it is what it is. So the menu we started off with, the hacks. So you have the hornball, and then I don't know what pave the world is, but this is as it sounds. This is as it sounds, and I'll show you that in a little bit. We also have some other cars here, so it's not just Viper, but considering it's Viper Week, we're only going to be focusing on the Viper here. And you have Wheelie. It's actually a little more than it sounds. You'll see in a little bit. So let's start with a quick race so you can get an idea for what this game is like. we're going to start with the first track, Beachz. I don't know how to say it properly, so that's the way that I say it. You have Castle Green, which is another good track. You have Silverdale, which is kind of like a Maple Valley-esque track to me, especially in the case of, especially in terms of its elevation changes. It has a lot of elevation changes that feel kind of reminiscent of Maple Valley to me. Then you have Ridge Valley, which is a canyon, if I remember correctly, a sort of canyon-like track. You have Dayton, which is a proper oval. Beachz is sort of a roval. They have a little chicane in the middle. This is a proper oval. No chicanes, just banked corners. Dundas, I don't remember that track, unfortunately, so I can't tell you much about it. Sunset Mesa, it's a very hilly canyon track, almost like racing near the Grand Canyon, but not quite in it. Rock Island. Very hilly track, very fast track, a few places where you can get some air. But we're going to be starting with Beachz because that's an easy track. You can change the length of the lap, so you can have a 3-lap race, which is what they call a sprint. You have your medium, which is 8 laps, and then you have a long race, which is 20 laps. God forbid you do a 20-lap race. We're not doing that today. You have your realism, which is arcade. Well, you have arcade, intermediate, and then simulation. I only care for simulation, so we're going to start with that. Then we're going to be racing in the pack mode, which gives you AI. So you have easy, normal, and hard. You can go up to 7 cars. Unfortunately, no further. You could also have a ghost. You can have the best ghost, or a normal ghost, or it off. Considering we're going to have a bunch of AI, I'm going to leave it off. You have the clock, which is your normal time trial. Ghost car, which I think is sort of like a time trial mixed with a ghost car. Normal and best ever. Then you have the pack, and that's it. So, we're going to go with the pack. And then you see this menu here. We have Dunn, Berg, Hall, Hecker, Hook, White, Hayes, and then you have Cody Car Syndrome, right? So you have all the cars here. We can see where we're placed. We are in 8th. But there's more to this menu than you might think. We have track info. Now, like I said, this is Beachz, and it's a bit of a roval because you have this chicane here. But you have turn 1, turn 2, one massive banked oval, the chicane, and then turn 4 and turn 5. Again, another roval. It's 1.5 mile track. Here's the start-finish line. And then you have your best times. Now, I've set all the best times here because I'm a fast boy. But there's still more to talk about, because if we go into the garage, here's what they talked about. Here's what they noted earlier about the car adjustment. You have alignment, you have your chassis, drivetrain, and aero. I'm going to leave all this because I don't know if this is like 80 pounds or whatever. They don't really tell you the measurements for these adjustments, so I just leave them. But you have your bump front to rear, your rebound front to rear, your springs front to rear, and your anti-roll bar front to rear. You have your alignment, you can change the toe, your camber, your height. I can't go any lower than this. I don't think I can go any lower in the back. Then you have your wheel lock. Normally, wheel lock is at 20, but because my Logitech G920 has so much rotation, I find that 35 is the most accurate for how much I need to turn. So let's start the race. Let's get on to Beachz. I'm going to turn my volume down a little bit here because it's kind of loud. Here we go. We are starting at Beachz. As you can see, it is an oval. I am in a blue Viper. You have a red Viper, a green Viper with orange stripes. Not the best color combo, but it is what it is. So I'm going to stick to the inside. I want to pass that orange car on the left here, but I don't think I'm going to make it. So as you can see, the graphics aren't anything amazing. Certainly not by modern standards. The graphics are... don't do that. The graphics are rather poor, but I think for 1998, the graphics are pretty okay. It's not the pixelated mess that some other games are from this time period. It's actually relatively impressively 3D modeled, including the car. So we're going to move further up, and I'm going to show you one of the hacks that I talked about. The thing that I said is it's exactly as it sounds, the horn ball. So my horn is synced to B on my wheel, so if I press B, that little untextured ball there, that's the horn ball. So if I just hold it, it's not going to do another one, and you can't really spam it, but if you aim it like this, clearly I didn't aim it. So we're going to wait. There's a little bit of a delay on it. There we go. Look at that. It reminds me of a game called Blur from 2011, that licensed car Mario Kart game. This game doesn't have any other power-ups, but Hornball is sort of like the green shell in Mario Kart, and then whatever the equivalent for a green shell would be in Blur. Bam! Look at that. You can actually get 2 in 1 if they're close enough. I did it on a corrupted recording a while ago. It's such good fun when you get a really, really nice punt with the hornball. Let's see, I missed. Oh, I just hit myself. Yeah, as you can see there, the hornball doesn't go infinitely. It does run out of momentum eventually. Oh, I missed it. Oh, but I got the orange card. That's awesome. Another one, get out of the way. Okay. There we go. I saved the slide. Yeah, so you can do some pretty fun things with the hornball. If you're good at aiming and you have enough cars in front, maybe even behind you about to pass, you can do some really funny things with the hornball. Just screw over the AI. 5 ways from Sunday. It's brilliant. Very, very good fun. The next thing that you can do is the wheelie. So I'm going to wait till we get to a straight, just so I can do this, just so I can have a proper demonstration of what you can do. Because, again, there's a little more to the wheelie than it might initially sound. I'm sure you're saying, Cody, it's a wheelie. How complicated can it be? This game makes it a little more complicated. Just a little bit. But that makes it all the funner. So here we go. Ah! That's what I'm talking about with the aim, because I'm trying to get the ball to roll up the banking here and hit the yellow car. Didn't do it. There you go. Alright, now that they're out of the way. So, if we press X, for me at least it's X, that's what I have the wheelie binded to. If I just tap it, see? You know how lowriders can make their cars bounce thanks to the air suspension? Wheelie can be used like that if you just tap it. If we get onto a straight, you can actually chain it as well. Have some cars on the inside here. Hornball! Ah! Tried to make it. Tried to get him, but I couldn't. Come on. Let's go on their bumper and boofle them. Come on. We're getting close. Ah, don't hit the grass. Hitting the grass in this game is sort of like the sticky grass in Forza Motorsport 4. It just sucks you in. I'm getting closer. I'm gaining a lot, actually. I'm going to have to go to the outside here. What a move. Hornball, yeah. Did we get the second one? Ah, we didn't get the yellow car. We didn't do it to him again. Okay, there's that. Oh, we're sliding. Ah, I'm going to have to just, yep, let the car slide. Alright, so let's get going. So you can, unlike the hornball where there's a little bit of a delay, you can... Oh, I did it too much. Ah, I mean, that is a wheelie. Sort of. Hold on. There we go. Like I was trying to say, if you time it, you can do the lowrider thing where you... Okay, clearly I can't time it. That was nice. Let's turn around. Let's not do a full lap, just to show this off. Alright, you can go to the right. Yep. So if you time it properly, if you just dab it... Oh, maybe I have to go faster. Okay, there we go. So if you just dab it at the right time, see? You can do the lowrider thing, or you can flip. You can just entirely flip. That works too. Why is everyone... Oh, probably because I'm going the wrong way. Come on, there we go. Turn again. Alright, I heard one of them reset. Let's get into third here. But yeah, if you do it right, you time it right, you can totally do the lowrider thing. I think this is the world's first lowrider Viper, and the first Viper that can break the laws of physics. And that's the next thing. That's what really makes the wheelie mode that much more complicated, because not only can you do the lowrider thing of bouncing your car, if you just hold it, the car does that. I don't know if it's trying to become a plane or what it's trying to do, but it loses its mind. And we gotta stop before the game crashes going through the world. But yeah, so the wheelie is more than it might seem. So there, and yep. See that? Maybe we can land it. Can we land it like Rocket League? We did, sort of. It wasn't a great landing. But yeah, the wheelie is good fun, especially because you can do the lowrider thing of just bouncing up and down if you time it right. You gotta be careful though, because I held my wheelie button, and that's what makes it freak out in the air like that. If you just long press it too much, you'll probably backflip. We'll wait till we get onto a flat bit of the track and then a straight. So I'm gonna long press now. Okay, I guess at this speed it's not so bad, but when you slow down, third gear, like this, watch. Long press. Bit of a longer press than I thought, but yeah. Basically, you can go too far with it. That's part of the fun, right? It's nice that you have that variance. It adds a little bit of skill and a bit of weirdness to the game ultimately. Oh god, okay. Ah, hate the grass. I wonder what would happen. Oh god, that blue Viper behind me did not like the way I rejoined. Oh, please don't hit me. Okay. I wonder what happens, though. Oh, wait, hold on. Watch this, watch this. Oh, no, it's that Le Mans incident. Oh, wait, can I land it? Almost. Yeah, so the wheelie button, when you hold it like that over a crest, allows you to recreate that Le Mans incident in the 90s where that prototype went over that crest and then it just got so much air and then it backflipped. You can do that in this game if you want to reenact it in the wrong car. Let's go flat out. Let's do both. Let's do the hornball and the wheelie and see what happens. I want to catch up to a car and hornball them, but I guess that's not really necessary. So if we go up... Ha! You can shoot it up in the air! I mean, you can totally miss cars by just going over the crest and then hornballing. The ball will go over a car, but... Look at that! That's kind of cool. Oh, and it's going into the stands! Catch that fastball! Do it! Can we get that yellow car all the way up on the... Nah. So, tap and... Yep. I wonder if I can catch it. Can we catch the ball? Is it going to land? I don't think the ball landed. It might have just despawned. That's pretty funny. That is... Oh, pretty entertaining. Nope. Over the... I was trying to get over it. Oh, there we go. Let's downshift in the first. There you go. That's kind of cool. That's like a punt in a sport. I can't think of... Maybe football. That's like kicking a ball. Yeet. Maybe that's sort of like going up to a ball in Rocket League, double jumping and then pulling back. Not backflipping, just pulling back. Look at that. I love how I can get it over the guardrail as well. Can we hit it into that? Ah! Nope, I didn't do it right. Ah, that's unfortunate. Let's back out though. So that's enough fooling around with that. Let me show you some of the other qualities of this game, right? So, let's do enable damage, and we only need to go that far. We don't need to do anything else. So the damage model in this game isn't BeamNG, it's not Bricks of Rods, but for 1998, I think it's fairly impressive. There you go. So we just indented the rear of their car. I mean, look at that. Oh, well, thanks for that. Out of the way. Out of the way. Look at that. And look at my car. And it could get a lot worse. Ah, they reset. You're lame. You're so lame. Oh, wait a minute. The tires. Ha! They're bent in. I can't move. I can't move properly. That inner tire is rubbing. Hold on. If I can... Ah, I was trying to show you. Ah, okay. Yeah, oh, well now both front wheels. Look at that. If I can get the right camera view so you can see it. Yep. That is poor. We can move still. But yeah, that's a little poorly. But yeah, I could... In fact, let's... Oh! Thanks for the ghosting. Oh, no, I was trying to hit that RV. Hold on. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Look at how indented that is now. Again, it's not Rings of Rods, it's not BeamNG, but for 1998, that's not too bad. Oh, and the rear's starting to get bent in. Ah! Well, there you go. Double hit. Yep. And you can bend the wheels, the front and the rear, and you can make the car undrivable. So again, not the most amazing, but something for 1998. Ah, well, there you go. See that? And the steering is broken. And for a licensed title, considering most automakers do not like cars getting dented up like this, I'm surprised that an official licensed Viper game has that level of damage. That's really, really impressive. So that's enough fooling around in the quick race. I've shown you everything you want to see. I hope. Let's move on to the career mode. Actually, before we do that, let me talk about the multiplayer. So there is actually multiplayer in this game. You can actually, not that anyone's playing, but there is a multiplayer function in this game. And there's a Discord for people who play older games like Viper Racing that have multiplayer capability. I will link the site to go to so you can find that Discord in the description down below, but they also play Viper Racing, so if you want to play Viper Racing with some other people, you can totally do it. There are people who play this game in multiplayer. So let's get rid of this. That was from an earlier session that didn't work, unfortunately. We're going to leave this. We're not going to have any damage. So, as you can see here, you have your career mode, your week 1, and your player. And you have a proper logbook, which is to me, it's very 90s, because I remember from an interview from Ralph Gilles, one of the later Viper designers, the Gen 5 designer, certainly one of the people that spearheaded it. In the 90s, he would have, I think his then girlfriend, Doris Gilles, who's now his wife, he would have her, with stopwatches, just clock his times and then write his lap times down in a logbook. And so to me, this is definitely very, very 90s, a proper Viper racing logbook. Now, I don't know if it has all your times and stuff, but it does show your week, your season, your class, the money you make, how many hours you've spent, and currently we are poor. We shouldn't even be able to afford having a Viper, but we've got one. So as you can see on the right here, you have events, ranking, testing, upgrades, and save. Save is as it sounds, you save your progress. So we have a ranking. We're in Season 1, and we haven't done any races, so obviously we are at 0 points. If we go up to events, we have 3 events for this season. We have Beachz, 4 laps, we have Castle Green, 2 laps, and Dayton, which is 3 laps. That's that proper oval I talked about earlier. If we go into testing, we can test at any one of these tracks. We won't really be doing that because we don't need to do it. Maybe we'll test at, what was it, Dundas? Maybe we'll test at Dundas, just so you can see the track. Then we have the upgrades that the box talked about earlier. So as you can see here, we have the stats for the car. We have power, 450 horsepower at 5,200 RPM. We have torque, 490 pound-feet of torque at 3,700 RPM. We have a stock chassis, a stock drivetrain, and we have a stock body that weighs 3,583 pounds. And I want to say, I really appreciate the fact that they actually have Viper weight here, because when I've looked for early Viper weights, whether it's Gen 1 RT10 or Gen 2 GTS, I found it really, really hard to get numbers that I trust, get numbers from credible sources, and so the fact that they actually have the numbers in this game is something I really, really enjoy, and I'll probably cite this game and use that number along with a few others for a project I'm working on. But yeah, so you have your weight, your power, and the lot. And so then you have your engine upgrades. You have your performance muffler, air induction system, exhaust system, and many other things. Some of these are really expensive too, like the camshaft and timing. It's a 40 horsepower game, but it costs 20 grand! Well, 20 grand and some change even. But I kind of like that because that gives you something to work towards. That's progression. That's proper progression. And what I find really, really impressive about all these upgrades is they're relatively detailed. Like, you can get different suspension. You can get, you can get different suspension, but as per this menu, you can get a different racing rear axle. You can get a close ratio gearbox. You can get a racing gearbox. This level of detail for the upgrades, to me, that puts this game kind of ahead of its time. Maybe Need for Speed had something a little bit later, and maybe Gran Turismo had something similar, but I can't think of many PC games from this time period that had these kind of upgrades, this level of upgrades, and this depth, like 324 pounds, 300 pounds, 203 pounds. And when you upgrade, if I got the weight reduction, it would actually change this number to what the weight would be with the weight reduction added onto it. That's impressive. Again, now to be fair, I haven't played many games from this time period. Okay, this is easily the oldest game that I have, but again, I feel this is way ahead of its time with the upgrades that you can get. Sport anti-roll bars, adjustable anti-roll bars, bushings. I mean, bushings? Come on, how anal is that? Racing shocks, lowering springs, and many other upgrades, including a full alignment kit. I love that image. But there is even more to do. I mean, you can get tires, but these are normal upgrades you would expect, especially these days, from a racing game. What you can also do, though, is go into the paint. And you can change the paint. Not only can you change the paint, like you could have a non-livery, but you could also get different liveries. And you can get decals and so much more. But we'll get into the decals in a second. Look at all these liveries. Forza doesn't have built-in liveries like this. They do have alternate color options like stripes and blue, oranges, and reds and whatnot, but not proper liveries like this. The Crew 2, a game that came out in 2018, 20 years after this game, has additional optional liveries for their cars, but this game again is over 20 years old. This game came out 20 years before the Crew 2 did and has the same basic function of additional liveries. And if we press OK here, look, the livery shows up. And if we go to a different one, we'll go to this flame one. Look, Better still, you can actually change it like in Euro Truck Simulator, where you can get a specific livery and then you can change what color goes where in the livery. You can do that here in Viper Racing. And this game came out way before Euro Truck Simulator 2. Way before American Truck Simulator even as well. Look. And so let's go find the template that I had used initially. It's one that looks very much like the Orica GTSR. This one, okay? This one. So we're going to change the white. We're going to go with a blue. Let's go with a... Yep. I think I'm going to go with that. And then... Here, I think I said I want a red. A bright... No. Brighter red. There we go. And then where the green is, we're going to go with a white. Right up on the corner. That's not bright enough. I guess that's as bright as it's going to get. Okay. Yep. There you go. Look at that. That's something we see in modern Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator games. Yet this game comes from a time where the recommended operating system for this game, and it says so on the bottom of the box, is Windows 95. Windows 95. That just lets you know how old this game is. Like, they're saying on the bottom of that box, it says the minimum requirement is 55 megabits of space and something megabits of RAM. I have 8 gigs of RAM on my current computer and 237 gigs of space on my SSD. This computer is well beyond the minimum requirements for this game, yet it still has basic modern features like a proper livery editor, and it gets better. It gets better because, like Forza, we have decals, proper decals too, and we've got a few of them. So you have your small decals here, you have your digits, your numbers for stuff. Maybe we'll add some numbers. And then you have your funny, you have your number 1, your star, you have this emoji, a very 90s looking emoji, funnily enough. This one's a frowny face, this is a smiley face. You keep going, we have very 90s, painfully 90s. I guess 90s, you have the American flag, you have made in the USA, maybe we'll add that. You have very 90s, painfully 90s, 90s, and 90s. So obviously the 90s theme is not lost on this car. But if we go here, watch this. It shows up immediately! And it looks fairly good. Like, you can actually tell what that is. And you have a back button, or I say a back button, an undo button, which is very, very helpful. So we're going to go to the small decals, and I want to add this Viper GTSR decal here. Look at that! Now, unfortunately, we're going to add the white one here on this side, but it's not as high quality, so you can't really read it as easily, but... Oh, wait a minute. Look at that. And you can rotate the decal! And you know what's nice, though? It's easy. It's easy to do that. You're going to hear me say a lot in this video that I feel this game is ahead of its time, but features like this, for a game that comes from a time where Windows 95 was the recommended operating system, it's things like that, despite being an over 20-year-old game, that make me say this game is ahead of its time. I feel that it really, really is. Let's see. I wanted to add another decal. There we go. I guess we can add a red Dodge one here. Is that? Do we need to flip it? Yeah, we do. Maybe not there. Maybe not there. We'll add it on the sill here. Dodge and then flip and... Or the rocker panel, as it's also known. See? That's cool! And again, it's readable. I don't think many people would expect these decals to be readable for a game that doesn't have brilliant graphics, but you can actually read it. You can actually read it, and it's not hard. Some of the decals are better than others, but for the most part, the decals are, they're all right. There we go. And then I'm gonna rotate that 5. Here we go. Nope, I want the 4. Rotate it around. And check it out. Okay, they're a little off, but whatever. And we can keep going. Like, we still have more decals to go with. Let's see here. I'm gonna rotate it. Yep, right in there. And then what's another decal? What's another decal? Let's go, I don't know. Let's go for a snake one right here. That looks awful. Never mind. Back down. Made in the U.S. I kind of want to go... I want to put it at the back, really. Let's go for a different one. There we go. This is one that I had. The flags. The checkered flags. There we go. So if we go back and we save, and we go back and do our first race, we will see that livery. Awesome! So here we go. We have Cody's car, Syndrome. We have Valdez, Tillin, Freeman, Pazor, Ambros, whatever that is, and Denny. Now, unfortunately, because we don't have any upgrades, we can't really change anything. Like, we can't change the final drive nor the individual gear ratios. Though, if you had the right transmission, you could. Again, ahead of its time. That's something you do in Forza. And in fact, Forza Horizon 1 didn't have these kinds of adjustments. And many people remember that, because that was one of the biggest complaints, I think, of Horizon 1, and one of the biggest things on the Forza wish list for Motorsport. Forza Horizon 1 didn't even have this. That was one of the biggest, as far as I remember, that was one of the biggest complaints with Horizon 1, and one of the biggest things on the Forza wish list for Horizon 2 was to have these kinds of adjustments. Yet, again, this game, 20 years ago, has it. Now, to be fair, this is meant to be a simulation, and Forza Motorsport 4 did have these kinds of adjustments, but again, the fact that you can make these adjustments in a game this old, the fact that the game has this level of depth is so impressive. Because computing power was nothing like what it is today. I think we can all agree on that. So, first things first, before we race, we have to qualify. We have to at least qualify here. Similar to a game I used to play called Race 07, where, because I used to race on an online lobby a lot, and we had a qualifying session, which anyone who knows racing knows what that's for. And so we had to qualify to see where we'd place, and then we'd race. And so again, this game has that feature where, yeah, you gotta qualify. We gotta see where you place, and we gotta see how quick you are, and what position you'll be in before the race. It's a minor feature, really, in the grand scheme of things, but I find it so impressive because that shows the dedication to a proper racing environment that they wanted Viper Racing to have. Alright, I think this is a good lap. 45.2. I promise I can read. I promise I'm literate. How did we do? We did a little bit worse. But we are second. That's not bad at all. We're within the top 2. Alright, here we go. Me versus Valdez. Look at that blue Viper in the corner there. Look at Valdez's car. You can see the decals. You can see the racing number. Their racing number is 33. I'm going to back off here. It's funny because they said on the box that the AI, to paraphrase, that the AI were fairly intelligent. And to be fair, for 1998, they are impressively smart. But the one criticism I would have of the AI is that they don't have a good concept of when you have some overlap with them. When you've drawn alongside, they don't have a brilliant concept of that. To be fair, I don't think many modern AI really do either. So we're gonna try and outbrake them here. Oh, they're gonna go around the outside. That Black Viper's really trying to fight me for this. And I'm understeering. I'm pushing him wide. See, that, though, is fairly impressive. That is relatively intelligent here. And then they backed out of it. That's not bad for 1998. That is some good racing chops. I might have to downshift for this. I don't know. I think I'm going to use the torque of the engine to pull me through. Now, some of you might be wondering whether or not the hornball works in proper career mode. And no, it doesn't, unfortunately. The wheelie does. And I screwed over my race on one of the previous recording sessions. Well, I say, they weren't corrupted, but they were the previous recording sessions. It's just things didn't quite work out. But I did ruin one of my races by pressing the button that I have binded for wheelie, and then the car actually wheelied, and then I was in last. I did manage to recover up to third, I think, in that race, but Yeah, so words of the wise, if you are going to race in Viper Racing, and you do have the wheelie button binded to anything, don't do it in career mode. You will screw yourself up. But yeah, unfortunately the horn ball doesn't work. The wheelie does though. Just a little bit of understeer. Cars kind of moving about here, but that's fine. Let's downshift though. I don't like being in 5th for that corner. Here we go. Nice transition through that chicane. Let off a bit again. Don't want to understeer. Once we get the money for some proper tires, the understeer issue will be greatly reduced. Gonna use the torque to pull myself out once again. We are comfortably in 1st here. You love to see it. Here we go. We're gonna pass the orange car here. I think they're in last. Well, that's more red than orange, but still. Well, it looks more orange from the back. There we go. And that's what it looks like when you win. Oh, please don't hit me. That was close. All right, we were a good almost 4 seconds faster than Valdez. That's nice. That's really nice. So something I want to touch on here that I could have touched on earlier but didn't was this print sheet of how we did. So we have me in 1st, our time, our best lap, and then our top speed. And clearly our top speed was faster than everyone else. I love this. I love this. It's so 90s, but it adds to the immersion. Like, hey, this game is sort of like being in an amateur SCCA racer in the 90s. So you get your printout of how everyone else did, your speed, your best lap, and then you have your notepad here of your lap times and then your speeds. So apparently we did... Okay, yeah, we were fastest on the 2nd lap. Gotcha. And we can check everyone else. Look at that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like modern games as much as the next guy. I really do. But something I miss is this proper sense of structure with the menu. Especially with the printout sheet and the notepad, it adds to the immersion. It adds to the feel of being a racer in the 90s, especially in SCCA in SCCA environment. Moving on from that though, we also have replays. That's right, this game is not too old to have a replay, and a pretty good replay at that. Watch this. So if we hide this, and you can hide it, and then watch this when we get going. Look at that livery! And you can read the Dodge and the Viper Racing, and look at that! The camera work isn't anything amazing. It's not really cinematic, but again, for the 90s, for the late 90s, it does a really, really good job of following the car and of showing the action. It does tend to stay far away, but I think it gets the foundations for good replay camera work right. Follow the car, show a good bit of the track. So we were 3 wide there until I started running wide, and then we were only 2 wide, well then 1 wide. Look at that though. And, like modern games, we can change who we're viewing and the camera view. So we could go into the cockpit. This game does have a cockpit view, and I could race here. We have a bumper view, a chassis view, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. You have your rear view, your near chase, your far chase. You have your rear chase. See, we were side by side here, coming into the chicane, turn 3 at Bemidji. See, side by side, and then I cut them off. Oh, they actually went on the grass. That's why they were so slow. Okay, I just thought they gave in. No, they didn't. So you have overhead, aerial, and then the TV, which we were at. Not only that, though, we have analysis. Now, to be fair, I don't know how to read any of this, but still, this is stuff we have in Forza. Now, Forza is way more intuitive as to what's what, but still, we actually have some level of analysis here. And we can go to the next car behind, Valdez. Look at that. And see all their stats, their speed, all of it. Could we go to their interior? We could go to their interior and just watch this. Oh, they were actually catching me there, probably because I was understeering a little bit. Yeah, they were fairly close. We could watch their chassis view, their near chase, far chase, the lot. TV, we could go further back. Denny, are they 3rd? I refuse to believe they're 3rd. That would be really far behind. But like I said, the camera work isn't anything amazing. It's not modern Forza replays or Gran Turismo replays. But it gets the foundations right, and I think that's pretty darn good for a 20-plus-year-old game. Just as I was saying earlier about the immersion, look, a check. We're getting a proper check. Viper Racing, 1998 First Street, Fastville, USA. It's corny, but I like it. And we have the date, 4/9/2021. We have who the check is being made out to. Me. $500 in text, and then the actual $500 amount over here. You have race prize number 1. This adds to immersion, so instead of just seeing some nonsensical number being added to your overall amount in Forza or Gran Turismo, Viper Racing makes earning money a sense of occasion. Hey, here's a check for that race you won. Well done. And in the current season, we are the top driver. We have 20 points. So, we could make an upgrade if I believe. Yep, we could add some high-performance tires. Actually, you know what? I wasn't going to do this, but we will. Because I want a little less understeer. So, we go to the next event, Castle Green. We have another qualifying session. We are at the back of the pack, obviously, because we haven't started yet. Here's Castle Green. So this is the start-finish line. We have this long, fast left-hand sweeper here, followed by, you know, this might look not that tight, but it actually is a fairly understeer-inducing corner, so got to be very careful here. Then we have the right-hander here. Same thing with understeer. Here, this long left-hand sweeper. A little bit less of a worry about understeer, especially now that we have better tires, but still. You have, I think this is a flat-out left-hander here. This is a flat-out right-hander, and then you have to brake here. And then right before the start-finish here, there's a jump. There's a crest. And you got to be careful, because if you don't fly straight, you're really going to screw yourself up. So we're going to have to be careful and watch that, because I want to win this race. Let's start the qualifying, though, and see how we do. Hopefully, we do significantly better than the other drivers today. And I think for this race, we're going to go for the interior view. I tend to race an interior view in most sims and even in Forza, so more often than not, I prefer to race in this view. But Viper Racing has a good close third person to where you can race properly and it's fine. But I want to show you guys the different camera views so you can get a feel for what it's like. I think this turn is what, 150? No, 140. Okay. No, it's 150. We just kind of missed the apex there. Let's keep turning tight for this next corner here. Now, not 160, more like 150. Okay, we're getting really close to that inside, so I'm going to power my way out to force the car to go wide. I'm going to get off the throttle again a little bit. Try not to be so mid-corner, get off the throttle a little more, but I'm trying to keep the car under load. Because you're supposed to keep the car under load. You're not supposed to coast. And that is racing advice that I take to heart. Alright, here we go. Now, on one of the recording sessions, when I went flat out here, the car got a little sideways. Okay, we didn't get sideways, but had a little bit of a worry. I thought we were going to get a lot of understeer coming. I thought we were going to get a lot of understeer at the exit of that corner. Thankfully, we didn't. Now, here we're going to brake hard into fourth. Turn in, stay tight. We're getting a bit of understeer. We're running really, really wide. Hopefully, we don't hit the grass. We didn't, because the grass, like I said, is very sticky and will slow you down. All right, fifth. Hit this corner there. Yeah, running a little wide, but that's good. What's the lap time? 39. 1 minute 39.5. I feel that's that. I think I did a 1:37 on one of the recording sessions, but we don't have the upgrades that I had during that 1:37, so that's still good and puts us comfortably ahead of everyone else. Valdez, his fastest time was a 1:44.2. Then you have a 1:44.9, and it just gets progressively slower. So how do you take 2 minutes to get around this track? How do you take 2 minutes? That's ridiculous. That's insane. Alright, here we go. I think I'm going to let Valdez have the inside. Because the AI, at least in my experience, always tend to get a good first few corners. A faster first few corners, and then you catch him. You catch him during the latter half of the lap. So I'm going to let him have the inside. Oh wait, no, they're still behind. I'm still first. Okay. So I'm going to cover the inside for this corner, because if I don't, Valdez is going to sneak up the inside to overtake me, and I'd rather force Valdez to go wide. So I'm going to go a little slowly here just to make sure I'm on the inside. I can see Valdez in my rearview mirror trying to catch me. Oh, they haven't caught me this time. Okay, maybe those new tires are working wonders. Now I got to get to the inside, got to block Valdez a little bit. Now I can feed in the throttle because I'm not understeering wide as much. I'm going to get off the throttle again. I'm not completely off. The car is still under load. I don't want to push the car wide via my throttle inputs as much. I want to be as close to the apex here as I can, because we're going to run wide soon. And I can see Valdez. Okay, he backed out. Good, good, good. So like I was going to say before I cut myself off, on a previous recording session at this part of the track, I went flat out and turned a little too much. Car got sideways, lost all my positions. So I let off a little bit just to keep the car under load, but I don't go flat out in the case that we go flat, in the case that we start to get into a spin. If we get into a spin, I want to be able to catch it. I don't want to go flat out and then lose all my positions, because if we lose all our positions on this track, we're not recovery driving our way back into first. That's not happening. I'm going to late apex it a little bit just so I stay a little bit closer to the middle. Here we go. Here's the jump. There you go. Car went a little light. As you saw, the front end lifted there. So I let off a bit so that when we land, I wouldn't be flat out. Getting a little bit more mid here. We have just left the pack for dead. I'm going to go a little wide here. I'm going to let out a lot. Now I'm coasting. And now I'm not. The car is under load. 150. Okay. We stopped understeering so I can go flat out again and start creeping my way closer to the inside for this corner. Now we're on the outside. Let off a bit. Don't coast. Keep the car under load. There we go. Flat out. Running a little bit wide. We missed our apex a little bit, but that's fine. So I'm sure you guys want me to talk about the physics, right? You know, what's it like? Because you can see me snaking my way from left to right, trying to find the optimum racing line. And so I'm sure you're wondering, hey, are the physics any good? Is this easy to do? And I have to say, the physics are a treat. Oh god, okay, almost hit that sign. The physics are a treat. You do have to figure out your wheel settings a little bit to get it right, but once you figure it out, this is seriously one of the most enjoyable driving experiences I've had. It doesn't have a lot of depth, Viper Racing. The physics are fairly rudimentary, but it gets the foundations very, very right. And that's better than you can say for a lot of games, including some modern ones. I'd rather have good foundations and not a lot of depth than bad foundations but a lot of depth. Because a lot of depth but bad foundations just make a game confusing. They just make the physics of a racing game really confusing to deal with. Need for Speed Heat. At least that's the way that I feel. Need for Speed Heat maybe has a bit more depth than this game, even though it's an arcade and this is a simulator, so they're not quite the same, but that game feels like the physics are a pendulum. And what I mean by that is because cars are a pendulum, because you can swap the weight from the front to the back, right? With Need for Speed, the cars, you can swap the weight, sort of, but they really feel like they're either really... They feel like they're really heavy and lethargic, or they're very fast and twitchy, or very light and twitchy. And so that's what I mean when I say that NFS's physics feel like there's a very overactive pendulum. The car either feels heavy like a tank, or it feels incredibly, incredibly twitchy, and I don't like that inconsistency. Whereas with Viper Racing, it's consistent. The physics are genuinely consistent. Here we go, we have another check, $500. We would have more, we would be at 1K if I didn't spend the money on tires, but the tires are a godsend. They are a godsend. Alright, let's go. Not a bad launch. Here we go. Yeah, the physics there, they lack depth, but the foundations are solid. They are really, really solid. You can do weight transfer, although, actually, let me say this. While the foundations are solid, sliding is less than realistic, I feel, because if I get into a slide, I can just treat this car like a front-wheel drive car and just mash the throttle, counter steer vaguely, and the car will be fine. Now, that's true up to a point. Once you get past a certain level of slip, you're not saving it. You're just spinning out. But for minor slides, you don't really need to counter steer. Just mash the throttle, counter steer a little bit, and you'll be fine. So that's not that realistic, but non-sliding physics are very, very satisfying. Very satisfying. Right. So I'm going to have to let off here. I think we're going to be at high 150s, maybe 158. Yep, there we go. Can I go flat out? I'm understeering a little bit. I'm not unwinding the steering. I'm still turning. Okay, now I'm unwinding. Yep, I was right about the high 150s. That's good. Whew. Hopefully we get at least 4th. If we get 4th, then I can still make my way into 1st with some good driving. and with no accidents. Oh, God, 5th? Ugh, that's going to be a little more difficult. That is going to be a little bit more difficult to come back from. Here we go. First. But yeah, the car feels, I think, accurately agile. And I liked at Castle Green, at that corner where I had to brake and downshift into 4th, what I really loved then was the fact that the nose dived. And now normally that's something you don't want in racing, but that shows the weight transfer from front to back, and it was noticeable. Uh-oh, okay. I hit the ball a little bit. Okay, I hit it again. We might get second. We might get second here, which wouldn't be as good as I'm hoping to do, but it'd be something. Oh, I gotta watch the inside, that green car. Okay. If I don't watch it, they'll pit maneuver me. The AI are ruthless. Gotta be careful of that. Alright. We have that orange car in front. I'm gonna have to let out for the last corner here. High 150s, remember? Let out a lot. There we go. Let out a little more wind than 160s. Okay. High 150s. Touching 160 we can get around that last corner at. Not bad, but unfortunately the car ahead got away from me. Did they brake? They're weaving about a little bit, but I can't tell what they're doing. I think this one's going to be a high 160s. The only corner here in this game that is completely flat is the second corner. The first corner isn't flat, and the last corner is definitely not flat. Oh, I went way too high. Okay. More like mid 160s. Moving on from the physics, though, something else I want to talk about, especially considering we're in the cockpit view, are the gauges and the fact that they're accurate and they work. I'm at 5,000-ish RPM. I'm doing it's saying 180-ish. I'm more at 170. But again, what impresses me isn't the fact that they're high quality, because they're not high quality. And to be honest, the rest of the interior doesn't even impress me that much. Because the textures, they're fairly low quality. I mean, look at that A-pillar on the left. That is not a Viper A-pillar. And the windshield, not a Viper windshield. And obviously the other gauges that are characteristic of a Gen 2 interior do not exist. They are not there. So that's not what impresses me about the interior view. The only thing that really impresses me are the gauges. The rev counter rises and falls accurately. The speedo rises and falls accurately. Okay, there's a little bump on the inside there that just... Yep, see? Makes the car rotate that little bit more. Wasn't ready for that. But yeah, that's what impresses me, is just how accurate they are. Because, honestly, they didn't even have to have an interior cam as they have it. They didn't even have to have the gauges be all that accurate. But no, they are. If you didn't have the HUD on the top, or if you're not looking at it, and you want to know when to shift, that gauge down there is a perfect tool to use for knowing when to shift. And for knowing roughly how fast you're going. That is, for me at least, that is really impressive for a game from 1998. Because it could have been a lot worse. Watch. See how it picks up revs as I downshift. Look at the speedo. Losing speed. As far as its precision, it's as good as modern games. Not the way that it looks, but its precision, as good as modern games. So unfortunately, we didn't win that race. I just couldn't catch them. We only got up to, what, 5th? Which isn't great, but isn't too bad. So we got second. $750. Not bad. That's going to allow us to make a few more upgrades. And we were going to redo this season so we can win them all. Upgrades. Do I want more power? No, what I did was the anti-roll bars on one of the recording sessions. So we had $1,350. We have $1,100. Alright, so we did that. I think didn't we get the weight reduction? No, we didn't. Okay. We will get this weight reduction. Removes 150 pounds. And sound deadening material is removed from body. Windows are replaced with plexiglass and accessories are removed. So that's what that does. See, they didn't even have to add that level of detail. But they tell you specifically what each level of weight reduction does. That's impressive. Let's see, chassis. No, drivetrain, that's what it was. I don't think there's anything to upgrade here. Is there anything to upgrade in the engine? Do I want to add more power? I could. I want to add... Let's see, we don't have enough money for that. I'm going to add a better air induction system. So now we're at 458 horsepower. 499 pound-feet of torque. Okay. Oh, we were at 490 as it is. Alright, that's good. That's okay. Alright, so we are back to Beachz. This gives me a chance to show off some of the other camera angles. One of the most infamous, if not the most infamous for Viper Racing, being the chassis cam. This is not really a chassis cam, it's more like a front suspension cam, because you only see the front two wheels, the front brakes, the front suspensions, and the front control arms. Here we go. Yep, a lot faster, a lot grippier. I'm so glad we added those anti-roll bars. If you're gonna do two upgrades, your first two upgrades for the Viper in this game, your first two upgrades I think should be the anti-roll bars and the tires. Because the Viper has a lot of power, it doesn't need more. Just gotta make chassis changes and tire changes. That's what it really needs. Ooh, okay, overcorrected a little bit too much there, but that's fine. Alright, so we did a 44. That should put us comfortably in first. Yep, 44.5, not bad. Alrighty. Yeah, so if you're gonna do two upgrades, your first two should be the tires and the anti-roll bar, by far. Definitely makes a huge difference for the car. And body, actually. Your third upgrade should be the weight reduction. That is also very helpful. That aside, though, let's talk about this camera view, right? Because that's what you're looking at, that's what you want. You probably want me to dive into a little bit further. So, speaking of believing the game to be ahead of its time, look at the way the suspension moves when I go over certain bumps in the track. Look at the way the springs and the dampers compress. Look at the way the control arms move. Look at the way the brakes move as I turn the wheels. This is a game from 1998. Again, that's something you're going to hear a lot this video. They didn't have to add that kind of detail. Here we go, straighten out. There we go. They didn't have to add brakes that actually move. Or that actually move with the wheel. I mean, that's, hey, it's a simulation, so that's realistic. But they didn't even have to add this really weird camera view either. Because why would you need it, right? It's not a hood cam. Certainly not a traditional hood cam by any means. It's not a traditional bumper cam by any means. And this game has a bumper cam. Look at the way the suspension unloads and then compresses again as I go over that crest. I'm going to let off here, keep the car under load. Here we go. There we go. Got it around. Now something I can't really note at this track, or can't really show at this track because it's largely flat out, and I don't need to brake. We'll brake here. Look at that. That brake disc on the front left tire, front left wheel, was starting to glow red. That's something that happens in modern games. I think Racer 7 and rFactor did a similar thing, and those games came out. rFactor was 2006, and Racer 7 I think was 2004. But this game predates both of those, and the brakes still glow properly. Something I should note is that, yeah, the model for the calipers and the brake discs themselves, they're not that high quality, they're not that amazing, but they're there. They're there, and they look, I think they look proper in relation to the rest of the front suspension. Oh, we're gonna go wide. Ah! There we go. I mean, do the hubs move? Oh, careful. Oh, shoot. Okay. We're good. We're good. I didn't mean to borderline crash like that, but it's fine. Oh. I didn't mean to spin out like that. That was an accident. Look at all the cars going by. But yeah, the brake discs, they glow red. That's something that happens in modern games, and this game came out in 1998. I just can't believe that MGI were able to make brake discs that glow on some prehistoric Windows operating system. That is hugely impressive in my eyes. Alrighty, everyone. So we did our qualifying, and we did a 139.7, which is pretty good. I made a mistake. If I didn't make the mistake, it probably would have been at least a full second faster. So this track is going to be a much better track for me to show you guys what I was on about with the brake disc glowing. So let's get going. Good start, half decent start. Before we get to the point where I can show you the brakes, though, I want to elaborate on something I talked a little bit about earlier, though, when it comes to the physics system in this game. So like I said, there's not that much depth, but the foundations are solid. Something else I wanted to talk about in relation to that, or I wanted to add to that and say that while there's not a lot of depth, the game still allows you to be really precise with your steering inputs. You can unwind the steering properly, and beyond the steering even, you can be genuinely precise. You can be genuinely calculated with your brake and throttle inputs. Like the way that I keep the car under load, whether it be mostly with the throttle, because a lot of these tracks are so fast, you don't really have to brake or trail brake or anything like that. It's mostly a full throttle or some level of partial throttle affair. But I can keep the car under load just the same way I would in a much more modern game, like Assetto Corsa, where keeping the car under load is definitely more important given its greater depth in the physics system. Also, there you go. Front left, look at how red that got. So it's not even that it gets minorly red, it gets a lot red. Again, if I were born in the 90s and had a computer that could run this game, I would just be in love. The immersion. There you go. The immersion is so impressive. Especially with the physics. Like, and I say if I was a kid in the 90s, if I was a kid in the 90s that had a computer that could run this game and even a wheel, to be honest, I'm glad that I'm not, because modern wheels are better than the older wheels were, especially in the case of force feedback. But I think in the cases of rotation and quality. But the fact that this game can keep up with this modern wheel, not in terms of rotation, certainly not with the steering wheel on the inside, but can give me a genuinely enjoyable experience, even though this is a very modern wheel with modern software, is incredible. Really hitting that inside apex there. Inside apex is kind of redundant, actually, now I think about it, because if it's not an apex, then it's a rumble strip. But anyway, I digress. You can be so precise and accurate with your movements. Now, I want to say I had to fix the settings for my steering wheel to get it this precise and accurate. But once I did, I can really modulate the throttle, and I can really fix my lines mid corner, on corner entry, mid corner, and on corner exit. I can really do a good job of fixing my lines in just the same way that I would in Assetto. Not a lot of depth, but the foundations are extremely solid in this game. And because of that, we won. We won that race while talking about physics and glowing brake discs. So, last race, Dayton. Let's hope at this oval we can do a better job than we did last time. I'm going to move back to the interior cam. Let's hope that this works. Also, I do want to point out, the in-game steering wheel does turn more than you've been seeing today. It's just that I imagine with the amount of rotation that my G920 has, Viper Racing doesn't really know what to do with the in-game steering wheel to get it to turn any further. So it's not really moving, but trust me, I'm turning the wheel in real life a lot more than the wheel is being turned in-game. But it can go a lot further. It's not that the game is limited like that, no. It just doesn't know what to do with the wheel because it has so much rotation. It could turn a lot further, though. We're doing good for speed. Now that this car is set up the way that I had it on earlier recording sessions, I think we can take the upcoming... I let off the throttle too soon. I think we can take this corner at mid-160s. Low mid-160s. Okay, yeah. Yeah, easy, all day. Alright, here we go. Faster, yeah! Alright, not bad. Not bad at all. Hopefully the time is going to be significantly better. So, a 114.8. That should be enough for 4th, at least. At least. Oh, 3rd! Alright, you'll love to see it. So again, if I had any more upgrades, we could go here and make a bunch of changes to the car. But unfortunately, we don't have those upgrades. Oh. I don't have to... Okay. I didn't realize I didn't have the wheel lock all the way up. That's my bad. Here we go. Another race at Dayton. Let's hope we can win. Let's go... Yeah, back to the exterior view. As I've been saying time and time again, though, all the things we love in modern racing games, all the things that, or most of the things that we love in modern racing games, most of the things that we see in modern racing games are present in this game that comes from an era where Windows 95 was the prevailing operating system. That's just ridiculous to me. It's insane how modern this game is for being so not modern. I mean, these graphics aren't modern. That building is largely awful. The track texturing, not modern at all. The car textures, they're not modern at all. But the things that matter to a simulation racing game, the physics, the foundations of the driving, which I kind of already said, but the foundations of the driving physics, the stuff that really, really matters are all present in this game. And present in spades. No! Oh no, we're gonna lose this race. Oh, dang it. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I will see you all when we come back to this event to actually win it next go around. So as it turns out, despite my screw-up, we have won. Are we gonna... Okay, is what I think is about to happen gonna happen? Because we did beat everyone for points. Somehow. We won! Look at that! And I've never seen this before. I have never seen this screen before. Amateur champion, Viper Racing League, and that gorgeous early Gen 2 Viper GTSR behind. Thank you for blocking it. Still though, at $4,000. There you go. This is what I mean though. This game makes events like this, winning your first season, an occasion. That is something that is really sorely lacking from modern games, I feel. There we go. We have advanced into the club ranks. How about that? And if we go here, look at that. Ridge Valley, Silverdale, Castle Green, Dundas, and Bemidji. We have all these events back again. So, we're now in we're in Class Club, Season 3, Week 1, and, 25 minutes? And we have $5,400. So if we go into the drivetrain, we should be able to get some stuff. Yep, a close ratio gearbox and a 354 rear axle. But I don't think we necessarily have the money to get both things. So, when I do this series, because I am going to do a series going through the career mode, because I've never actually finished the career mode on this game, and I've always wanted to, we will be buying those upgrades and going through to Club, to GT, and to Pro. For now, though, let's go back. Let's go back into the quick race and just mess around a little more. Let's go to Silverdale while I talk a little bit more about the game. One thing you guys will obviously have noticed is that I belabored the point that this game is ahead of its time, in my opinion. It has so many of the things, most of the things that we love to see in modern racing games, modern sim titles, yet the game is older than me. It's like a late Gen Z, early millennial game, if games had generations like that. I mean, they do, but not like that. And while it might have a very limited list of cars, get out the way! Oh, I did get one! Oh my god, that's bad. While it might have a very limited list of cars, oh no, I don't feel that it's that limited for enjoyment. There's a lot you can do, like that hornball, and then the wheelie, and then the proper career mode with genuine, enjoyable progression. There is a lot to do in this game, even if it only centers around one car. Go. Can I get him? Yeah! Love to see it. I really want to get 2 and 1. If I could ping pong... Wait a minute. Ah. I was gonna try and push that orange car into this fusion car. Oh, well. And I call it a fusion car because that one is not solid black. It is purple at the front with a black rear. Can I go around the outside in 5th, maybe 4th? Doing okay so far. But yeah, even though it only centers around... Oh, I missed. Even though it only centers around one car, the game isn't the most limiting thing in the world. I got car rotted. It's not the most limiting thing in the world. There is stuff to do. And there's even more to do because this game has a strong modding community. Yeah, you heard me right. This game, from eons ago, actually has mods. And not a small amount of mods either. This game is sort of like... It's sort of like the... I say the love child, but more like the ancestor of both Forza and rFactor. Though, in the case of rFactor, purely... Well, not purely, but mostly because of the mods. Semi because of the physics. I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can get... Where you can go to get the mods. But you can get different cars. You can get... Hey, you can get a Gen 3 Viper. Hey, there we go! There's the 2-in-1. 2 birds, 1 stone. Love to see it. But you can get a Gen 3 Viper. You can get a proper Viper GTSR. You can get cars that aren't Vipers. You can get Camaros, drag cars. You can even get tire mods for drifting setups, even stickier rubber. There's so many mods. There are so many mods for this game. Whether it be car mods. Hey, you can even get different tracks. I think they have Spa. They might have the Nürburgring. Maybe Laguna Seca. Again, when I tell you guys, this game was ahead of its time. While the mods weren't necessarily, because I think the mods started around 2006, and hey, rFactor existed at that time. This game has all the features, has most of the features, not all, because there are stuff missing. There are things missing, but it has so many of the features we've come to love in modern racing games, whether it be PC simulation games, or console simcade games like Gran Turismo and Forza. And yet, this game heralds from a different era. It lives in a completely different era. I don't want to say that this game created all the things we love today. I don't want to necessarily say that all the modern games can trace their roots back to this, because I'm not sure that's necessarily true. However, what I can say is that this is definitely one of the better games from this time period that has all the features we've come to expect and adore in modern racing titles. And certainly one of the best physics systems I've ever experienced from this time period, which, to be fair, is very, very limited. But this game holds up to barely, but it does hold up to rFactor. Again, lacks the depth, but it has the foundation. And I think, foundationally speaking, it can be said in the same conversation as rFactor. A lot of the Simbin titles, Race 07, Race Evolution, GT Legends, and then Assetto Corsa and Automobilista 2, and a lot of those hardcore sim titles. This game can be put in the same conversation as those games, just with the caveat that it is a lot older and that it doesn't have the same depth in its physics system. I personally believe that this game is, on the physics side, more fun than Need for Speed Heat, because the cars are so playful and the physics are so accurate. And that's a bit disingenuous. I recognize that, because Need for Speed isn't meant to be a simulation game, it's an arcade game. Right? Anyone worth their salt when it comes to knowledge of car games knows that. But I think even for an arcade game, Need for Speed Heat's physics systems are kind of meh. But Viper Racing's physics systems for a simulation, they're solid. And I think that's the comparison I'm trying to make. That's why I say this game is more fun. It's not more fun because I prefer simulation to arcade, though I do. It's more fun because the foundations of its physics system are better than the foundations of Need for Speed's physics system. Also, I just realized I haven't used the hornball for a hot minute here. We've just been doing lap after lap after lap, like a hot lapping session. Let's boofle some fools. Come on, come over here. Your time has come. You're gonna learn today. They got yeeted. My guy. All this game would really need, I feel, is a graphics mod, and it could be the pre-rFactor in a sense. I suppose y'all will want to see a series of videos of me modding this game and trying out a bunch of mods, and you know what? I'm gonna do it. On top of doing that career mode unmodded, just so I can say I finished this game for once in my life, we will do a modded series to see what kind of cars, what kind of tracks, what kind of mods are in the modding scene, just to see what it's like. But I hope you all enjoyed this blast from the past, going back to a licensed Viper game, where it's in the standard game anyway, it's not the only car. There are actually other cars, but because it's Viper Week, we're not focusing on those. But where it's the hero car, right? Like Horizon 1. But unlike Horizon 1, this game is all about the Viper. This game is all about the racing experience. And I hope you enjoyed seeing that. I hope you enjoyed seeing how well this game still holds up. Graphically, no, but for physics, yeah, it still holds up. There will be more videos coming out for Viper Week this week, because it's, Viper Week, it's in the title. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, share, and consider subscribing. Otherwise, you're going to get hornballed like that. But I do appreciate it if you genuinely subscribe. Please make sure you hit the little notification bell and hit all notifications. That way you are notified every time I upload. I hope you enjoyed seeing this blast from the past. What do you think of Viper Racing? Do you think it still holds up? I will see you all next time. And I will see you all in the next Viper Week video